welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You're watching our coverage of the FIFA World Cup. We predicted many goals in last night's matches, but it did not happen. Only 3 goals were scored and all the matches ended 1-0. We'll recap the matches for you in just a bit, but first let's take a look at what's in store for us today. The first match will be between Denmark and Australia. This will be the 4th encounter between the two countries and the first at the World Cup. Denmark won their opening match 1-0 against Peru, a performance that was far from reflective of their impressive World Cup qualifying campaign for Russia. The team wants to do better from here on and put on a show against Australia. Lasse Schön looks certain to play today as a replacement in the midfield for William Twist. Meanwhile, Australia are the only national team to have been a champion of 2 confederations, having won the OFC National Cup 4 times and the AFC Asian Cup at the 2015 event on home soil. Australia lost their opening match to France. Let's take a look at the lineup, but before that, let me introduce my guest today. Jyoti Burrett is here with me, former Indian national team player, and Shekhar Luthra, sports editor of the DNA. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a look at the lineups for the match today. First, starting with Denmark. They are most likely to play a 4-3-3 kind of a formation. Kasper Schmeichel in goal, Larsen, Christensen, Jair, Dalsgaard, Schön, Delaney, Eriksson, Sisto, Jorgensen and Paulsen will make up this particular team. We'll also take a look at the other team, that is Australia. Ryan, Behich, Milligan, Sainsbury, Risdon, Mui, Rogic, Jedinak, Cruz, Juric and Leckie are most likely to start in the match that is to take place in a few moments from now. Shekhar, let me begin with you today. Denmark versus Australia. What's likely to happen here?
You know, looking at Australia, first of all, I think the champions of, Asia, Oceania and the AFC. But the problem with Australia, for many years now, they have been qualifying regularly. They are the, team to reckon with in this particular subcontinent as well as their own. But the problem there is they have never managed to do anything, at this level. And that's been a problem for Australia. If they have to do well, they have to create a few chances. They are very solid physically, and look at today's game. I think Denmark and Australia both are physically so strong. Height-wise, they have so much of capacity to run. But the point is who is going to create more chances. And it's always been Denmark. We have seen in the past, Denmark, Sweden, they have always done well. But Australia somewhere, is it match temperament? Is it big event that nerves, which has done these kind of things to Australia that they have to prove wrong?
Jyoti, the potential is there as far as Australia is concerned. They've got some big names. They've got some players who have done reasonably well at the club level. Underachievers, do you think?
Definitely. I mean, looking at their side and looking at how they played against France, one would think they would do well today and one would hope that they would do well. But they are also, you have to look at the stats. They have 11 game, they haven't kept a clean sheet. So, and they're going up against Denmark, who are on a 16 unbeaten game streak. So the odds, I don't know, it's against them. Somehow they don't rise to the occasion, as Shekhar said.
They don't rise to the occasion. It's time for them to rise up to this particular occasion, because they have to win this match at the end of the day if they want to stay relevant in the competition, Shekhar.
Definitely. And also one more thing, I think the problem with Australia is whatever the stats may say, but these stats are more of AFC and more of, the qualifying, which doesn't actually show your actual potential. They have not done well against any of the top teams. When we say top teams, Argentina or, Brazil or all these teams.
They don't get to play them also that much.
Exactly, but that's a problem with their federation. If you are not picking those matches, it is not like you can't invite them, even in friendlies. You have to pick and choose, certain teams. You have to pay them, you have to get that kind of exposure. And that's been a problem. Consecutively, they have been, playing at the World Cup, but never done anything at this level.
So, Jyoti, as far as Denmark is concerned, they're most likely to play a 4-3-3 kind of a formation. Australia, a traditional 4-4-2. kind of a formation. Is that going to make too much of a difference in the match itself? I mean, you know.
Not really. I can see this being a very close game. I can see Denmark going for the win because they know this win is going to guarantee them the place in the last 16. But Australia are going to fight. I mean, they're here to obviously qualify. So it's going to be a close game. I don't think there's going to be much between the two teams today.
Is it going to be an attacking game or a defensive game, do you think?
It's going to be attacking because both teams want this win. So I can see it being attacking both sides. So, but it's going to, I think it's going to be close. So not too many goals in it.
You know, another problem, Jyoti, with these Australian side is, you know, most of their players are also part of the Aussie style football. So that's also been a kind of confusion somewhere because there is so much of money is there, you know, in the Aussie football.
Yes.
Whereas in comparison in Australia, there is less demand for the real football.
Indeed, indeed. All right, moving on now. France will take on Peru in the second match of the day, aiming to cement its place in the next round. Peru, which is currently at the bottom of Group C, will be fighting to remain in the tournament. This is the first international match between the two sides since 1982.
France and Peru will meet on a football field for the first time in 36 years. Peru had come out on top in their last meeting and will be hoping to repeat the feat. But France is one of the toughest teams at this World Cup, and that won't be easy. The 1998 world champions are in top form, boasting players like Antoine Griezmann, Paul Pogba, Olivier Giroud and captain and gloveman Hugo Lloris.
Mais avec quand même à la clé le résultat et le fait d'avoir marqué 2 buts. Il y a, je pense, beaucoup d'équipes que j'ai vues lors de leur premier match qui auraient aimé avoir le résultat et connaître des difficultés aussi. Mais ce n'est pas les occulter. Et comme je l'ai dit avant,
the stats too are heavily loaded in favor of France. It was last defeated by a South American team in a World Cup game in 1978 when Argentina triumphed. And Peru has not defeated a European side in its last 5 World Cup encounters against them. Peru began this year's World Cup campaign with a 1-0 defeat against Denmark last week.
Nosotros respetamos a Francia, por supuesto, es una selección no solamente candidata a ganar el grupo, sino candidata también a ganar la Copa. Pero en cualquier circunstancia, nosotros estamos muy acostumbrados a este tipo de situaciones. Siempre nos hemos acostumbrado a vivir situaciones límites.
A loss for Peru would make the end to their World Cup campaign more probable, a ticket they have worked very hard to earn as they appear in their first World Cup after 1982. Raj Yadav's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, France versus Peru. Let's look at the probable starting lineup now, beginning with France first. And as far as France is concerned, of course, Lloris in goal. We've got Pavard, Varane, Umtiti, Hernandez, Pogba, Kante, Matuidi, Griezmann, Giroud and Mbappe. They're playing, most likely to play a 4-3-3 kind of a formation today, of course. Looks like France will go for the win. If they win this match, they will go through to the next round. Looking at the next team, of course, the possible lineup for the South American side, Peru. You've got Gales, Advincula, Ramos, Rodriguez, Trauco, Aquino, Yotun, Carrillo, Flores, Fafan and Guerrero. Jyoti, you know, this particular match, France versus Peru, France will probably come out all guns blazing because on paper they have a fantastic team. They'll want to go for the win. But Peru, it's a must-win for them at the end of the day. So it could make for a very exciting and an interesting contest.
Peru are a gritty side. They have burst onto the world scene. This is their first World Cup, and I'm sure they're very, very eager to perform and you know, consolidate their position here. So they're not going to go down without a fight today. And France is going to come out all guns blazing, attacking, because that's what they do best.
And if you look at the French side, Shekhar, you know, they're not considered to be one of the top teams in the world right now. You know, that goes to a couple of South American sides and a couple of European sides. But this team could go far in the tournament.
Yes, most talented side, and it has been, you know, actually regarded as one of the sides which has actually done so well in last 6 months or so coming up to the World Cup. But again, as Jyoti was saying, Peru is not going to go down so easily. It's a very free-flowing side. You have to be very careful about their wingers. They are not just playing with, you know, 3 midfielders, but these midfielders, they always come up with the 2 more strikers and then 1 up front striker. So in a way, if they start playing, which they could not in the first game, I don't know why, what was restricting them, but otherwise they play just exactly like Brazil does. In first match, Brazil could not also reproduce the same thing. So I think they have to go back to their roots. They know if they concede 1, they could score 2. That's the way South American teams play. And don't forget, they have a formidable record in World Cup. Since 1930, whenever they have come up to this stage, they have never lost first round match, never lost second round match. So only the first time that they lost the first round match.
Sure. Yeah, you know, let's look at some of the players to watch out for in this particular match. You have Antoine Griezmann, the forward, the talismanic forward as far as France is concerned. A formidable front 3 as far as the French are concerned. Jyoti, you have Giroud, you have Griezmann, you have Mbappe, who've done excellently well for their respective clubs as well.
Definitely. These are the world's top strikers right now, and they're all playing together. Griezmann has always been a threat. I mean, even last World Cup, he's always played well. He's risen to the occasion. And Mbappe will be keen to, you know, burst onto the scene as well. So he's young and he's ready to go.
But, you know, somewhere the problem is, I mean, if you look at the last 20 years or so, ever since Zidane came into the scene, most of the French players were playing for either Barcelona, for EPL, for all these leagues in away from home. But right now, in last 2-3 years, ever since Paris Saint-Germain suddenly got so much of money, most of their players are being restricted to, you know, the couple of clubs there. Is that a kind of somewhere that is also one of the reasons that they have not done well at the world scene? Because maybe that lack of exposure at the international level, that is somewhere I think also a worrying sign, unless there are a couple of more teams emerging as a world-class team from the France.
You know, what would you say the scoreline would be for this game, Jyoti? France versus Peru?
I think I would go with 2-1 because I think it's going to be close, and I think Peru should score at least 1 today.
Oh yes.
So 2-1 in favour of France then?
Yes, 2-1.
Okay.
2-1, 3-2, this kind of, because it has to be free-flowing. If anybody goes on to, you know, just defense, I think they are going to suffer heavily. They have to attack, they have to face attack. Both teams are very talented.
So it's going to be free-flowing?
Free-flowing, it has to be.
Okay, all right. Moving on now to the third match of the day. Argentina will play Croatia in an extremely crucial game of their World Cup campaign. Locked in the group of death, Argentina was surprised by debutant Iceland in their opening match. For Croatia, the World Cup began on a solid note after a 2-0 win against Nigeria. A win in this game will take Croatia to the round of 16.
It is a game that Argentina has to win to stay in the World Cup. Group D, regarded as the group of death, is living up to its reputation, opening up permutations after Argentina was held to a 1-1 draw by Iceland in their opening game, pushing it to third in the group tally. For Argentina and its captain Lionel Messi, it will be a chance to not only redeem themselves, but also to stamp their authority as a football powerhouse. Messi has scored each time Argentina has played Croatia, including his first ever international goal in 2006.
Creo que es un jugador que es el mejor del mundo y eso no da un plus, pero seguramente imposible que un solo jugador te permita cambiar realidades que...
Croatia, on the other hand, is keen to prove itself a surprise package, just like it did in the 1998 World Cup, when it reached all the way to the semi-finals, only to be beaten by the mighty Brazilians. It is now sitting at the top of Group D after beating Nigeria 2-0 in their opening game and will move to the second round if it scores an upset victory over the two-time champions.
Ja sam i rekao u najavi da će to biti za nas jedna od najlakša utakmica u grupi, jer mi nemamo što izgubiti, igramo protiv velike momčadi, ali mi smo velika momčad. Tako da ja uopće ne dvojim da će biti prava utakmica, neizvjesna utakmica.
This will be the fifth clash between the two sides. The last 4 games have produced 2 wins for the South Americans, 1 for the Croatians and 1 draw. Vaibhav Raj Shukla's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, a very crucial match as far as Argentina is concerned, and for Croatia as well. They need to do well in this particular match. Argentina, they're back against the wall after that draw against Iceland.
But that's the way they played the last World Cup also. They were very tentative to begin with, but ultimately they picked up and reached the finals. And just 1 goal separated the two teams. This time I think it's been a problem. They are over-dependent on Messi. Is that the scene looking at the first match?
Because and it looks like an aging side also, Shekhar.
It's aging side. You have to understand, Aguero, Messi, all are playing probably the last World Cup. So in a way, there's a lot of pressure on Messi, but there's the same pressure is on Ronaldo on the other side. And he has scored 4. So Messi has to come out of this thing, and he's a great player. There is no doubt about that. But the point is, Croatia is one of the most secured sides when it comes to defense. They have a wall, you have to breach that wall, and don't forget, they are not attacking side, but their counter attacks,
and they've always done well in the World Cup.
They've always done well. It's been a fantastic side, small population, but a great side, and lot of players are playing in, in Moscow, where the weather has also,
suits them. Talking about Croatia and this particular match, Jyoti, Lionel Messi there, 125 matches, 64 goals on our screen right now. A great player, but under pressure, he seems to be susceptible.
He's going to be heavily marked, but all good players are. I think, of course, there's a lot on his shoulders. He wants to do well for his country. He's been such a big part of them even getting here through the qualifiers, and he's going to have to, he's going to have to deal with all the marking on him today and perform. And I think he's the only one who can lift this side. But Croatia, I mean, they've got some quality players as well. Mandzukic, he's had a great season with Juventus. A great striker. They got Modric. Really quality players. So it's going to be tough for Argentina. But if Messi shines, anything's possible.
Anything's possible if Messi shines. Of course, talking about Mario Mandzukic.
But talking about that Messi, without Messi, when they were in the qualifiers, they were in a bad soup.
Yeah, they were.
And it was only after Messi got, fit, they could qualify. So it was not an easy path for them.
Sure. Let's talking about the players, of course, let's take a look at the lineups as well, the possible lineups for this last and final match of the day between Argentina and Croatia. Let's begin with Argentina, of course, right now on your screens. Caballero, Mercado, Otamendi, Tagliafico, Salvio, Mascherano, Mezza, Acuna, Messi, Aguero and Pavon will make up the playing 11 as far as Argentina is concerned. They're most likely to play a 3-4-3 kind of formation. Moving on to the other team, of course, which is Croatia. Subasic, Rasalchko, Lovren, Vida, Strinic, Rakitic, Barelj, Brozovic, Modric and Perisic, Mandzukic are the players that will make up the Croatian side. We'll slip into a short break now, but on the other side, we'll review the matches that took place last night. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.